Hello, Year 3s. We're going to read the rest of Chapter 13 of the Train Impossible Places today. If you remember, Wilmot had just wrestled the suit off his head. "I can't see anything wrong with it," he gasped, red-faced, "and it seems dry in there." Susie pressed her lips together and blushed, not knowing what to say. "There's no time to worry about it now, though," he went on, slipping the suit back onto its hanger. "We've got work to do." He grinned at her and dashed to a small control panel against one wall. He threw a lever and the HSE lurched around them before slowly rising off the sea floor. Susie took the opportunity to return the diving helmet to the rack, making sure to retrieve Frederick from the depths of the nose sock as she did so. "What's going on?" he whispered. "Shh," she hissed, and slipped him into her dressing gown pocket. "That's 2 successful deliveries under your belt already," said Wilmot, turning back from the controls. "Let's make it 3, shall we?" "Sounds great," she said, through a smile that felt too false and tight. "Where are we going?" "Good question," he said, and made for the clipboard. Susie's momentary flutter of relief, he hadn't checked the chart, was immediately overcome by fresh anxiety as she watched his eyes work their way down the table and then widen in shock. "That can't be right," he said in a choked little voice. "That can't be right at all." Susie looked on, wishing that she could be anywhere else, but unable to look away as the colour drained slowly from Wilmot's face. She clenched her fist so hard that her fingernails bit into her palms, but it didn't lessen her discomfort. She was lying to someone who trusted her, just as Frederick had lied to her, which made her every bit as bad. But what other way was there? "What's wrong?" she said, feeling like a fraud for asking the question. He turned a look of vacant panic on her. "How can I have missed it? I thought I checked." His finger stabbed at the clipboard. "This is serious." As he said it, the HSE broke the surface and reconnected to the rest of the train with a metallic clunk. No sooner had the sound died away than a phone on the instrument panel began to ring. Wilmot blinked on it as though he'd never seen it before. "Oh dear," he said, and picked it up. Steeling herself, Susie moved to stand beside him as he stammered into the receiver. "Yes, Mr. Stonker, I was just about to do it, but I've been busy with the pump and—" A moment's silence. "Well, I'm afraid there's been a bit of an oversight, you see. Yes, I will. Right away." Taking the phone from his ear, he picked up the stub of a pencil attached to the clipboard and tapped the tip 3 times against the entry for the ivory tower. Susie watched, fascinated, as the handwritten letters glowed a brilliant gold. Then they shifted, tumbling over themselves in a blur. She had seen this before, on the tiny destination board in the cab, and knew instinctively that this was how the board was updated. It was linked to Wilmot's clipboard with magic. After just a few seconds, the letters settled down into their former order, and their glow faded. The phone emitted Stonker's bark of shock, as loudly as if he'd been standing in the HSE with them. "I'm so sorry," said Wilmot into the mouthpiece. "I must have been so preoccupied with our delivery to the Obsidian Tower that I completely overlooked this one." Susie couldn't quite make out what Stonker was saying in reply, but he didn't sound happy. No, I know that's not an excuse," said Wilmot, who was sounding increasingly miserable. "I take full responsibility. Yes, I know how much time it's going to add to our route. No, you're right, it's not acceptable." Susie was horrified to see the early sign of tears in Wilmot's eyes, and placed a supportive hand on his shoulder. He must have forgotten she was there, because he flinched. But he didn't protest when she took the phone from him and replaced it on his cradle. "Are you all right?" she asked. "No," he said. "I've made a huge mistake, and now we're going to be even further behind schedule." The words dug into Susie's heart like hot needles. "I'm sure it wasn't your fault," she said. "But it is." His agitation wouldn't let him keep still, and he pulled free of her touch and started pacing in frantic circles around the centre of the chamber. "The ivory tower, of all places! Do you know how often the express visits it?" "How often?" she said. "Never. At least almost never. My dad had to make a delivery there once, years ago, and now it's my turn, and I didn't even notice. Oh, my mum's right. This job's too much for one troll alone to handle. I'm letting things slip." "Don't say that," she pleaded. "You're a great postmaster, you really are." The train bucked into motion. "Are we going there now?" He shook his head, still pacing. No, we can't just turn up. Lord Meridian never lets anyone in for free. Who's Lord Meridian? The keeper of the tower, the curator. That's his job, you see, gathering information. So if you want to learn something from him, you have to be able to offer him something that he doesn't already know, that nobody else knows. And you can do that? Susie asked hopefully. Not without making a detour first. He hurried to the nearest porthole. Susie joined him. The afternoon had drawn on, and the sun was growing fat as it dipped towards the horizon, staining the tips of the waves gold and crimson. "Where are we going?" she said, wishing that she could feel better in the face of such a view. "Home," he said. Then the darkness of the tunnel swallowed the train with a snap of its jaws, and the topaz narrows were gone. That brings us to the end of chapter 13, year threes. I'll see you back tomorrow for chapter 14.